Two social workers on a mission to change the narrative, Millennial Babies podcast seeks to empower others in making changes to maintain their physical, emotional, and mental health. This podcast is about becoming the best version of ourselves. I hope you feel inspired. Join Bria Spencer and Fadia Jean-Pierre bi-weekly as they initiate conversations about mental health, fitness, and travel. Share this with someone who needs it. Follow us on Instagram at millennial_babes_podcast, and let's continue the conversation. Welcome everybody to the Millennial Babes podcast. We are coming to you all the way from San Francisco, California. It's a beautiful sunny day. I am Bria Spencer, and of course with my co-host Fadia Jean-Pierre. And today we are welcomed by our girl, our sister, Titiana Stovall. And we are going to just have a beautiful, rich conversation about the Time Capsule and how it captures your life. So, Titiana, please introduce yourself to our audience.
Hello, everyone. I'm Titiana Stovall. I am the owner of Forever Silhouette Management. It's a public relations agency where we focus on dreamers. And I am the shadow of everyone's art that I work with. I love people who have a dream and who dare to do something major beyond what their circumstances are. And so any opportunity that I get to work with someone of that caliber, I'm down for it. I'm also an English professor. And so with those two things and those two, I guess, different careers, so to speak, I am able to just live this world that I have, and I love it.
Well, thank you for introducing yourself. I love this. So you just mentioned you are the shadow of your heart. Now, can you let me know or explain to our audience what is the shadow of your heart? What is it that you're trying to connect with?
So when I first created my business, my entire idea was that I wanted to be different. And my difference and my passion came from being in the background. And so Shadow of Your Art was kind of a play on Forever Silhouette. When I was in college, my music name was Silhouette. I was a singer in college, and I tried to make a career that way because, I wasn't in school to sing. And so Silhouette was the name. And so it kind of just stuck with me as I went through life. And so the Shadow of Your Art is just, I facilitate, I make things happen for people. And so the whole idea was that a silhouette is a shadow, essentially. It's just like a sexy shadow. And so I was taking that idea and putting it to what I do. And generally I am what is in the background, but I make you shine in the spotlight in order for you to have, your desired outcome. And so that's kind of where it came from.
Well, thank you for sharing that. Like, I love how you said the silhouette, like about music, like, because you're a singer and you love to sing. And I like how you put that in there, Forever Silhouette. So with being the shadow of your dream and Forever Silhouette, tell us a little bit about Forever Silhouette, because you are starting a new business also.
Yeah. So the whole idea, I've always loved public relations, and the idea of management. And so I thought in creating this business, it gives me an opportunity to just do what I love doing the most. In 2020, I lost my job. And so I needed something to do where I could highlight the skills that I had. One thing that I found with the pandemic especially was that, my skills were not necessarily set in one specific place because I'm trained in academia. And so my experience level is strictly academic versus, industry or entertainment, even though I know about those things. And I have experience in the background or underground, so to speak. My experience is not on paper. And so I started the business in order to give me that way to do what I wanted to do, a method in which I could take the things that I'm good at and literally get paid for them, and it's something that I love doing. And I remember someone told me right before I did my master's, the goal is not to just get a job. The goal is to figure out what you love doing and then get paid for it. And so I figured out what I love doing. And so now we're just trying to get paid.
So I love that. You are just it just aligns with who you are as a person. What we know about you is that you are more like the behind the scenes and are able to help other people build their businesses and bring their visions to life. Like even for us, like we're here, we reached out to you and to help us on our own journey and our podcast, and we're dreamers. And so we were able to talk to you about what our dream is and our vision is, and you brought that to life.
Yes,
And
you
you're
did.
doing, like, literally, and it was just amazing. And so you are doing, this is what walking in your purpose is,
Yeah,
you, right? And
completely.
that's just a beautiful thing. And I'm wondering, even on this journey for you, because there it's the silhouette, it's so metaphoric. How do you bring that shadow and bring it more into the light?
You know, yeah, it takes a lot. You know, it's a lot of effort. And I was in my prayer time the other day, and I was really thinking about that. Like, I'm marking myself as a shadow. Like, I'm calling myself silhouette. Like, what am I supposed to do? And it's like, it's not that you're meant to be in the background. Like, there's a moment for you to shine as well. And even though in my experience, like, I'm used to working, you know, I allow the CEO or like, the business owner or like, the other person to take, the shine for the work that I do. But one thing that I really noticed was that, one thing that was missing rather was that me wasn't in it. It's like I'm doing the work in the background. No one sees me. I'm fine. I don't have to look a certain way because like no one's going to see me what I look like. But then it's like, in order for you to have the business, in order for you to have your brand, you have to stand out. And you have to be upfront. And so it definitely takes a lot of confidence and a lot of self-awareness to understand who you are. Where do I fit in this world? And for me, I really had to look at that and really challenge myself where I don't necessarily want to be the center of attention, but it's like, in order for you to get what you want to get, you got to be, and so it really comes, it's like this really, not necessarily awkward, but slightly awkward dichotomy where it's like I want to be in the background, but I also have to be at the forefront. So it's like, how do I play both sides? And like you're playing two different roles, but you're getting the same outcome. And so it's a dance, and it's something where you have to be good at what you do, but then at the same time recognize what's the job, what's the purpose, what's the passion, in order to get things done correctly.
Yeah. And not even just being self aware and owning that this is your passion and your gift, but also knowing that this is another level of vulnerability. Being able
Yes.
to be like, okay, like I'm gonna have to really put myself out there
Yeah.
even more. And that is
Yeah.
hard, especially like if you are comfortable like being in the shadows or living under the radar, like you
Mhm.
mentioned, in our conversations. And so how do you what would you advice would you give to someone who is a dreamer and who wants to bring their vision to life but is
Yeah.
struggling with, I I'm afraid to be in front of the camera or on social media and share this part of me, but knowing that this is what I'm meant to do.
The best advice I can give to that person is do it. Do it. Because a lot of times we put ourselves in positions where it's like, this is what I want to do. And we talk about it. We bother our friends about it. We're constantly at the dinner table like, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm meant to be. And given the opportunity to do it, we just sit there like, and we overthink it. We, put paranoia and limiting beliefs all on top of our dreams. When in actuality, it's like, if you just do it, I promise you it'll work out. And it may not work out to what we have in here, but it will work out to what God put in here, and that's really where you have to believe. You have to have that little piece of belief where that size of a mustard seed faith where, you just know that it's going to work out regardless of what I do. But if I put forth the effort, something good's going to come of it. And if nothing good comes of it, at least give it your best. And that's all you have to do. That's all you have to do. But you have to do something first. And just sitting there and hoping for it, that's not going to work. And so you got to put forth the effort.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I struggle with.
Yes.
Just being able to put myself, and it's so funny that I say that because here I am on a podcast.
Putting forth effort.
Right? But when it comes to like my body by Bria, there's so many ideas that I have. I have a YouTube channel and I have about like 10 videos that I've been sitting on. Shame on me.
Yes, like why aren't you putting it out there?
And it goes back to that vulnerability, and like you said, like we have these beliefs and then we get so much wrapped up into our head, and it's just like
cycle
and like the fear of judgment. But it's just like, why? I'm already putting myself out there, so what it comes down to is just us, and we become our own self critics, and so it's just do it. Just do it.
Exactly. And I think it has to do with like the way we came together.
Yes.
It has to do with like fear and our vulnerability. And our past experiences like forced us out, like forced us to be vulnerable. So how like your past experience had like forced you to be vulnerable and like in this situation you were at, so that you can start, because also we worry about judgment, right? So like, because that's what keeps us within. It's like we don't want to be judged, so why should we be vulnerable? So yeah, and we're talking about this, like how your experiences, like your past experiences, force you out of your situation to be more vulnerable, so that you can be the dreamer while you're helping others dream, right? Getting out of the shadow.
Yeah. Vulnerability is a drug. It's one of those drugs where it starts off like, I probably shouldn't, but I'm going to. It's a risk. It's always a risk. And, once you do it, it gets a little bit easier each time. And one thing that I learned about, especially with me and vulnerability, was that vulnerability is not necessarily a bad thing. It has like a blessing and a curse kind of moment, but it brings authenticity. And the best way to come out of your shadow is authenticity. Be authentically you. Constantly you see images on social media that are flooded with people who look a certain way, who act a certain way, who get likes and comments and engagement based on being a certain way. And going into your path and your journey towards your passions and your dreams, it's so hard not to fall into that idea of I have to be like this, because it's a box. It's all a box. I have to, if I'm going to be, a business owner, I have to look like a business owner. It's like, no, I look like this. This is a business owner, and it has to come authentically. Like, I am a business owner. This is what a business owner looks like. I am slightly tired, and that's okay. Like, my hair is slightly kind of straight. It's okay. And that's what a business owner is. And it's not this, pretty look that is on Vogue magazine or Business Today. That's not an actual look. That is a pose. That is a picture that was taken purposefully to show and highlight this specific person. And so when we're constantly looking at these images and we see what everyone else is doing, that's what keeps us in our shadows. That's what keeps us from actually fulfilling our dreams. And for me, I definitely look at my life where I want someone to have the tenacity and the grit to go after what they desire to do. And if it's my example that does it, yes, amen. I'm totally for that. But I also have to get out of my box in order to help that little girl or that little boy or whomever it is, to let them know that you can do it too, because I'm nobody special. I recognize that, and I'm just Titiana. I woke up today just like everyone else, hopefully. And, it's one of those things where you just have to do it. It's one thing for the dream to live here, but you have to put action and faith and energy towards it in order to make it come alive and to flourish. And then one day you're just going to wake up and realize like, oh, I have it. and it's right there. Sometimes we think, especially me, like I have always, like for the last 10 years, I dreamed about owning a business. I talked about it. I dreamt about it. I wrote about it in my journals. And then um, on August 13th, I bought my business. I bought an LLC, and it was like, well, that was easy. And now here I am thinking it's going to be this long, drawn out process where like I had to have multi-million dollars in my bank account. Like I had one comma, like four figures. Like it wasn't that big. You know what I mean? And so it's not this huge to do. We're inundated with all these images and all these ideas of what it's supposed to be. It only has to be you. And you're the only one that has to make it work. And if it works out for you, that's it. It doesn't have to work out for your neighbor, your mama, your daddy, your brother, nobody else but you. And that's okay. And you have to be okay with that and recognize that as long as I'm okay, nothing else matters.
You're okay. You got us. We got
I know. Yes. We are good.
you're stuck with us because and you mentioned like we put ourselves in a box, right? And I think
Yeah.
that's where we always get stuck is we dim our light, our voice.
Yes.
Like time is passing by and we're like, we would love to do this. We have dreams, we have goals, and we're trying to find where we fit in and be accepted. And sometimes like we stay in it because of that uncomfortability, the unfamiliarity of the unknown. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know what it is, so here I am. And getting out of that box, being vulnerable is hard and it brings a lot of fear within us. And that's what it sounds like you were in that space and you had to kind of like push yourself to find, to be like, okay, all right, I have a dream. I need to get out of it. I need to do something. I don't have time. I have time, but I don't have time really. And so it's like, how do I use the time efficiently, like you said, to have the tenacity and the courage and find the strength to step into like what your life is supposed to be like. Motivation and
I give myself 15 minutes a day. So if nothing else, I have 15 minutes where I just do everything and anything from silhouette management. And I have to put in 15 minutes a day. Now, generally that 15 minutes turns into an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, but I have to give 15 minutes. And that's where it starts. Where if you have nothing else in the day, everyone has time to do what they want, right? One thing I really love is I'll take my phone and I'll just write in my notes, and it has to be for 15 minutes, where it's like either it's a chapter or it's a piece that I can put on the website or it's a piece for social media. And that 15-minute time block and it can happen any time of the day. Sometimes it's at night, sometimes it's in the morning, sometimes it's in the middle of the night, depending on my schedule. And I'll just do something for my business. And that's where it starts. It starts with you actually putting intentional time in your day for you. I hear a lot of people talking about, mental health wellness and self-care. And self-care is not just getting your nails done and getting your hair done and, getting a facial. Self-care is, what is it that I want to do to get me to that next spot in 5 years? What can I do today to help me 5 years from now, 10 years from now, 20 years from now? Because the decisions that we make now are going to motivate the choices that we can make later. And it's really sad, I was having this conversation years ago. Everything you do up until you're 18 definitely influences the life you get to live as an adult. Whether you get through high school with a high GPA or you get through college with a high GPA, it definitely affects your ability to live the life that you desire. And it's not fair, like your first 18 years motivate like everything that you can do later in life. It's totally not fair. But that's the life that we have. Those are the cards that we're dealt. But we also have to recognize that we have the options and the choices to make different decisions and thus create a new world. And it all starts with 15 minutes.
I love that, setting intention around your day. Like even it's so important when it comes to your business because you can get wrapped up in so many different things. If you have a family or if you're just living alone, but you're also having a business and a 9 to 5. So like you said, finding that time to be intentional with your own business and just your dreams and your ideas. If you don't even have a business, writing down in those 15 minutes just all your thoughts,
Yeah.
because that also manifests, how to bring your dream and vision to life. And so I love that. I think I'm going to start even using that myself, just setting 15 minutes aside.
That's what I was thinking too.
Because I'm always like,
Let me take my
I
15 minutes.
feel like I don't have enough time in the day. And I'm like, 15 minutes of just, even if it's just writing all of the ideas down, is so helpful. And it also keeps you on point. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, everyone has 15 minutes.
Yeah.
We wait 15 minutes to get food. We wait 15 minutes to, for the person to come downstairs to watch the movie, and so what I recognize, especially in this time where I don't necessarily go to a brick and mortar anymore, I have so much time that I've wasted just sitting, and waiting and, expecting something to happen. And it's like, be intentional. You want to teach intentionality. And I'm talking to myself here. Like, you want to teach intentionality and following your dreams. And look at you just sitting here. It's like, ooh, conviction. All right, let me go ahead and grab my phone real quick, and just do something. And it's those little tiny steps that get us to making the big steps on these journeys of life. Generally you think of like, the winding journey towards, the destination. And it's so interesting how, especially like if you watch Google Maps as you're driving, like, it tells you where you're going and you can kind of see your path as you go. But it's like every little increment, even when you're in like bumper to bumper traffic, every little increment goes closer towards your destination. And every step, every 15-minute increment gets you closer to that destination where you get your God vision, your God life. And I definitely believe that it is possible. Every step, every time that you think of, this is where I want to be, how do I get there, and you create that path and you have that intentional time with yourself and God, of course. And it's like, how do you want me to get there? What do you want me to do? And I personally believe God just like, sends me messages and ideas, and it's like a little portal we have. It's like invisible, but it's there. And he just sends it, oh, you should try this. It's, oh, that'll work, and I'll make that work. And sure enough, it falls in line. And so we just have to put intention to where it's supposed to be.
So for you to get there, to be able to like find the time to put the intention, and I know, as you know, from conversations we've had, you had to shift.
Oh yeah.
You had to shift a little bit. You had to kind of, because you were in a space where things were just not going so well, where you felt stuck, and you had to make a shift and start being like, okay, I need to be more intentional about what I want, be more intentional about the dreams that I'm having, and getting out of the shadow. And so talk a little bit about like some of that shift you had to do, like coming from there, the source of it.
I realized I was seeking a lot of validation. I was looking for people to confirm my dreams for me. And one thing that you have to really consider, especially when you live a life of seeking validation, is that everyone is validating you based on where they want you to be. They're not validating you based on where you want to be. And so I had to realize that the validation that I was seeking was in alignment to the box that I was placed in by that person. And so I had to get out of the box. And in order to get out the box, that means that I had to, all right, you got this, girl. I had to tell myself, I had to talk to myself, I had to trust that the plans that I had were good enough, where I didn't need to confirm it with the committee, so to speak. I stopped sharing for a little bit. Like, I stopped telling my dreams and I kept them to myself. I stopped, sharing my thoughts. It was like, oh, hey, sister circle, let's explain. Nope, not today, because I didn't want to fall back into that cycle of, here's the box that I'm in, and I'm not going to allow you to validate based on the box that I'm in. It's not a bad thing. Everyone's placed in a box, unfortunately. That's just, it's inevitable. Like, I know you this much, so this is as far as we get to go. But when you pull yourself out of that psychological box that you're placed in, and you recognize that my potential is greater than, confinement, the world is limitless and the possibilities are endless. And I realized when I adapted and when I shifted that the only one that's stopping me is me. It's not what they think. It's not what my mom says. It's not what anyone else said before me. It's me. I'm the one that's telling myself I don't have to. I'm the one that's telling myself go for it. I'm what motivates it. When I really considered myself, I really had to tell myself, like, go for it, do it, because you're in control. Yes, someone can tell you, like, oh, this is a better idea, this could work better this way. Sure, consider that as needed. Take what's yours, throw away the rest. Really, it's just really recognizing that I don't have to stay here and I can get up and go. And there's nothing that's holding me in this place except for me. I am the one that is keeping me here. And if I just hurry up and get up, me and God can have a party, and we can actually get where we want to be. And, once I recognized that, of course, like initially it was like, shoot, I messed up. But then it's like, okay, so now that you messed up, what are we going to do differently? And differently comes into putting in my 15 minutes and extending it to 30 minutes and then extending it to an hour. And, making sure that the time that I'm putting in is not just, oh, I'm doing research and I'm scrolling through Instagram. Like, I'm doing research and intentionally looking for things that are going to help me put back into my business, whatever it may be, whatever it is that you have a desire to do, that's what you should put your time towards in order to get you to that place that is, and I call it the promised land, that is for you. And I feel like everyone has a promised land. Everyone has a place where God designed specifically for you to live in. And in order for you to get to that place, you got to walk that journey. You got to walk that path. And people say it's hard. It's not hard. It's only hard when I don't want to do it, but I have to do it. It's only hard when, like, I want to sit and watch Netflix all day and I got to work. So it's like, put Netflix on in the background and work. Like, it doesn't have to be one or the other.
And I'm actually gonna put you on the spot because while you're talking, I know you had mentioned like you're working on a side project, which is kind of like not ready to be put out in the world, but it's been in the work for about how long now?
About 6 years.
So how can we help you shift? Because you talk about mental health, right? Taking care of yourself, like that being in the shadow anymore and getting out, being vulnerable. So how is like your project that you're working on to like what's keeping you from putting it out? Because it's been 6 years. It's been 6 years. Look at the face. And we're like, we're gonna push you. This is like a push, putting you on the spot.
Yeah.
So like let's talk about this. Like how is it helping you and how it can help like us, like dreamers, and like to get out of our own shadow as it's helping you get out of your shadow to kind of be where you are and continue to shift.
My biggest thing is like being accountable. That's my biggest issue, and just being accountable to myself. And so certain times, and I've done this, especially in this journey of shifting, I'll tell people my dreams so that they can keep me accountable to it. Because it's like, I know you'll ask me about this, so I have to do something towards it. Like, I know you're going to ask me, did you write a chapter today? One thing that I'm really intentional, especially about this project and finally getting it done. I'm not letting myself get distracted. And prior to, especially like the 6 years prior, I was in school. I had a job, I had everything going on for me. And so now it's like, I don't have those distractions. I don't have the boyfriend anymore, thank God. I don't have any kids. Now it's like, take this time that you've been blessed with. The blessing is, you have this dream that you finally get an opportunity to live through. Do it. And once I realized that, it was like, okay, this is not playtime anymore. This is an assignment. And I stopped looking at, losing my job as a punishment versus as, oh, wait, I got to do something with this. Because I'm coming out of the pandemic with something greater than myself. And then I realized this woman, I was watching this conference, and this woman said, someone is waiting for your voice. And I felt like she was talking to me in that moment. And every time I go and write the book, she says, someone is waiting for your voice. And it's like, dang it. Okay, like go in, And so, and that's what keeps me honest. That's what keeps me authentic, where it's like, if I'm going to do this, I got to do it me, And so that may mean I only put 15 minutes in it today, or I may put it 15 minutes in it tomorrow, but maybe the next day, I put in a whole entire afternoon, and it's okay. But it's like, it has to get done now, and something has to change, because I can't live in this space and not have what I desire, because I'm in control. I'm in the captain's chair. And so now that I recognize who I am and what I'm supposed to be, now I can make the decisions that are necessary in order to, skyrocket into that place of success, and then take my friends with me.
Your voice. You mentioned your voice.
Yes.
Someone is waiting for your voice. That is just like big right there, because
It's just like,
it could be whatever you're doing, someone is inspired by your work or by something you said, right? Because I know sometimes I'll get like certain messages, and then I'm just like, wait, what do you mean? Like, how am I inspiring you? I'm trying to inspire myself. I'm trying to get out of this box. I'm trying to like be more vulnerable, have more strength to do certain things. Somebody's like, oh wow, like, oh my God, you said something, I like what you said, and I see how you're doing it, like, can you share? And you don't realize that just the littlest thing, the little step that you take, is helping someone. It's your voice, and it could come in many forms. And it seems like that's what you're doing. You're being reminded that what you are saying and who you are is valuable, and someone can benefit from that. It's essential, basically. And like using that voice is important.
Yeah. And just even like your voice, we always have these two like personas inside of us. The little person and the bigger person, and the little person is the annoying one.
It's like this.
That's
Run right here, run right here.
I'll tell you can't do it. You're not enough. People are gonna judge you. Why are you putting yourself out there?
They're gonna say every bad thing about you, girl.
And you know what's so interesting? Like, I'll be in circles, and I'm so used to like being in the background. I don't know why. I think like
Comfortable.
I like to be crowd of people, and I like to listen. And sometimes I don't say much, and people will be like, "Oh, so what are your thoughts? What are your opinion?" Sometimes it's like I don't know. I'm just observing. I'm just processing, and it's okay. And it's like, use your voice. And then I find myself like, I'll try to use my voice. I'll try to say something. And then it's like, okay, you get talked over. So then it's like, okay, what's the point?
Yeah.
But it's like you have to fight through that. And I think that was something like for me, I was struggling with. It's like trying to find my voice. And what really pushed me was when someone said like, okay, you're emulating someone else. I'm like, no, I'm not. I surround myself around individuals that are looking to step out of their comfort zone, right? That are doing something, and I like how you're moving. I'm inspired by you. And what can I think? What can I learn from you and apply it to what I'm doing? I don't need to necessarily do it just like you, but I'm around you because I'm inspired. I'm around you because I admire your work. I like the tenacity, the discipline, the dream, the vision, and how you're moving forward. And so it's like, okay, I'm trying to use my voice, and I'm seeing how you're using yours. I see how you're stepping into yours. Okay, I need to find that confidence in myself.
Yeah.
Because usually I'm like, how are you doing it? How you're doing it is you sitting in the mirror and saying like, listen, girl, stop. You got this. Whatever you're afraid of, just do it.
And that goes back to the bigger you. That's when that starts to come more to the forefront, when you're having those positive self-talks, in the mirror, or you're like, girl, you got this. Like, what are you doing? Today's not the day. Get out your feelings, keep it going, and setting those boundaries even with other people. Like, no, this is me. This is what my story is. And that the bigger me, the bigger you, that's gonna come around to the forefront, where you're gonna be able to just do it and shatter the fear and the judgment, and be like, I don't care what. Everyone is always gonna have an opinion.
Exactly. It's like a bubble.
It's like out the door, let it go. Just like we talked about, right? We're like, It's time for us to shed it. We're
Yes.
shedding
It's
those
like get it off of you, like
Yes.
in physically. And you brought up something, observation. And sometimes we sit in a room and, we're like, oh, I'm processing. I'm filling the room. And that is so important. And that's part of what I discuss in this project. Observation. You have to know what you're dealing with. And that means that sometimes you're in the room and you're there. For me, being present in the room is not necessarily just being here. Being present in the room is like, okay, I'm gonna look at you and I'm gonna, okay, I see you, but don't neglect that, because if you're in a room and you don't know where you are, or you don't know the space in which you're in, and you're not feeling it, there's something that comes with that, and there's a piece of authenticity where you have to know where you are in order to function the right way. So when I walk into certain rooms, like, where am I? Who is here? And how far can I go? And based on that tells me what personality trait I can use the most. Can I be funny here? Do I need to be serious? Do I need to be academic? And it's not that, oh, she's fake. No, it's code switching. You got to play that role. I can't go into an academic room and play church. Like, it's not going to work. However, church is in me. And so I can take the church that I have and use it in academia, but I can't go full church, in the classroom. And so that's the ability to just turn it off, turn it on, and know what to be. And then also, it is super important to forget everybody else. Forget it. Forget that there are other people around, because the opinions that you have, the thoughts that you have, the way that you process, that is what makes you unique. And recognizing why you are unique is so powerful, and that your opinion does not have to match everyone else's. That's super powerful. And it's so funny because I was raised with men. So my positive self-talks come in a very realist way. It's like, girl, you got to pay your car note. Like, we got to do this. Like, there's no going back. And even though, like, some people say, well, that's negative, it's like, no, that's a motivating factor for me to pay my bills and not have to ask my father. It's to pay my bills by myself because I am more capable of doing it. And so my positive self-talk sometimes is very harsh for some people. Sometimes it's super positive, where it's like, girl, you did it. You look amazing. Like, your eyes don't even look puffy, and it's not lying to myself, but it's really highlighting those things that I feel insecure about sometimes. Like, it's like, oh, your bruise is going away. Yay. And just praising the little things, because that praise of little is what gets you to the bigger, right? And recognizing and acknowledging that, you got up today. Good job. A lot of times, especially as a woman, I compliment myself, right? I look at myself, I'm like, girl, you fine. Okay, I don't care what anybody says, you fine. And I say it because I don't want a guy to come into my life and say, girl, you fine. And then, like, I lose everything. Well, I tell myself, what I want to hear. I tell myself what I desire to hear from, the lips of a man, right? I say that to myself. So it's not a shock when someone else says it. And by doing that, not only does it change your perspective on those words, but then it helps you realize that it's the words I want to hear, not the person. And then that also keeps you out of bad relationships. Because you don't have to deal with, the of, I'm only with him because he said nice things to me. I'm only with this person because, they do things for me. Do those things for yourself. And then you'll recognize that a lot of the relationships that you have are cultivated because they do something for me, versus I just like being around you. And that was another thing that I had to recognize, that positive self-talk is also telling me what I want to hear, not what I want someone else to tell me, but telling me what I want to hear from someone else. And you also have to remember, you are a person too. And I told myself this morning, I am a person. And so I can be that person that, I need to help. I can be that voice that I need to hear. I can be that because I am a person and I need that too. And so rather than, looking for someone else to inspire me, I can inspire myself. And it's not that that's selfish, but we really need that. Like a lot of times we think about everyone else, so we don't really think inwardly. Like, what do I need? What do I want? We write it down in our journals and everything. I've written so many journal prompts on what does Titiana want? Like, come on, it's like she wants pizza, and it's okay. And she can have it.
I mean, and it goes, everything you're saying goes back to the conversation that we had, just seeking that validation from others and the
Mm-hmm.
vulnerability and the fear and just listening to that voice that says, just do it, right? So shifting gears and going back into your book. um, One of the things that came up in our conversations is just we had like an aha moment,
Mm-hmm.
right? And what is it in this experience from your life, like your personal life, and also your business, and infusing those two? How did it get you to this point where you're like, okay, I'm just gonna do it?
I had to remember who I am. And by remembering who I am, it gave me back all of those prayers and those thoughts that I had from yesteryear. And I recognized that this is the time. This is the moment that I've been waiting for, that I've been praying for. It also meant that I had to get away from the bad people. Because those bad people were hindering my creativity. They were hindering my ability to link with myself and to make the connections that I needed to in order to get further. And so this book, it's really blending the best of both worlds. It's blending me from the past and me as a present. And it's, making that beautiful Titiana sandwich. And I believe that it's going to help plenty of people. And the reason why is because, my experiences are not unnatural. My experiences are pretty common for the most part. However, I have lived through enough to where I can give you advice on something that, oh, okay, that could work, and it's not necessarily like an advice book, but more or less a perspective shifter. I know this is what's happening to you, but let's think about it in this way. How can we use this to our advantage? And for me, I see what's happening in the world, and I see the changes that are taking place societally. And I want to use my voice in order to help the one who was like me, the one who um, I want to be what I needed, when I was 18, when I was 16, like, how do I figure this out? Because it's some of the stuff that no one tells you. And like, I feel like if anything happens in this world, like, I have to help the next generation. Like, I have to, like, let me tell you what people won't tell you. Like, because that is really where it's at. If I can give you just a heads up, like, hey, don't do it. Like, don't go that way, go this way instead. Or, instead of going that way, this way is actually more profitable for you, simply for X, Y, and Z. And I think doing it that way is really what's going to open up, a new conversation on how to live. And for me, it's just a passion project. It's a way to release, the past self in order to fully come into my full self. And it's also a method for me to, get out next steps, and identify how my future is going to look. And I think you almost have to, I know they say, like, if you really want to make God laugh, tell him your plans. But I feel like God downloads his plans into us. And it's our job to decide whether or not we believe it to be true. I'm willing to put myself in a position where I put myself out there in order to get something greater. And that's why I'm writing.
What I like about our like connection, like because you're sisters now, we're
Oh,
sisters,
yes.
right? Is how you helped us.
I learned to ask questions. I ask specific questions. Okay, what colors, what ideas, what is, if you could see it, what would it look like? And then I take that
You
and
did.
then I use that to make it whole. And some people are like, oh, those are just pieces. But so you have to tap in, you have to recognize that, I feel like every interaction, every connection is spiritual in some sense, right? And so you have to almost like, all right, God, let's go. Let's tap into this. Let's see what's going on here. And then, you wade through that water. And, it's so funny because like sometimes, especially when we're building logos or like building designs, like, sometimes I'm sitting there like, this does not look right. Like, I don't know what I'm doing, and I'm just sitting there just like, I hope they like this. And then like you send back, like, this is amazing. And I'm like, oh, high five. Okay. And it's not that, I'm putting me into it, but it's like, my goal is that I fully capture what is it that you desire. And that's really my purpose, is like, let me figure out what you desire and then make that work. You guys are always like, oh my gosh, so many choices, but like that's really where the choices come from. It's like me, you, us.
Yeah, you are our eyes, and
Yeah.
are for other people. And it also sounds like, what you've experienced throughout your life personally, not just individually with on a road of self-reflection,
Mhm.
spiritually, and becoming more self-aware, but your relationships in the past
Yeah.
have also shaped you and your experiences to be able to be present in your
Oh
business
yeah.
and to be able to help other people, provide those tips to be like, just do it. And it also sounds like that's what your book is going to entail also, is just taking all of those experiences and combining it into how you can show up in your business as well and master both worlds, to just show up and be authentically you at the end of the day, all day. And I think that's just amazing and just aligns with Forever Silhouette and just capturing your entire life so that you can show up and be bomb and a boss entrepreneur all
All day,
day,
every
every
day. And
day.
the book is called, and I had this realization, the book is called Turn Your Tries into Umps. And the reason
And,
why,
and by the way, nobody take that,
Nobody
please.
takes it.
no
No one
one,
takes it. Please record it.
it's on there, like it's here. Like, so I said it. So if you take it, I know where you got it from. But the reason why I did that, because I feel like life is an episode, like is frequent episodes of trying. And when we make these decisions, right, we're constantly trying new things. We're constantly like, oh, no, this is gonna work, but let me try it, right? And so we're taking the tries, like this is what I want to do, but I don't know how exactly to do that. And so we're making your tries umph, right? And we're turning your tries into triumphs. And like, I wanted to make that, little connection, like, but that was the motivation for it. And it's, this is the plan, this is the model in which you can follow, and this is how you're going to get the results. And it works. I didn't realize I was developing a plan when I was doing it, but I reflected on my experiences with my previous relationships, whether they were romantic, friendships, business, academic, and I realized that I was following the same method each time. I was following the same trend, and each time that I followed that trend, success came. And so it's like, okay, so how do you take this method and share it with others, where it's not just boom, 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 boom. And so it's like, oh, telling the stories. Okay, so this is what I did here, and this is what I did here, and this is what I did here. And if you put it all together, this is what you're going to get. And then also giving the opposite side of, this is what's going to happen. This is what you're going to have to deal with by following this method. Not that, with everything that's good comes bad. There's never like, it all goes well. Sometimes it just doesn't, or it starts off well and then it falls off, And so this is what you do in order to protect yourself and to keep yourself whole. And if you're intentional about setting up relationships, just whatever relationship that you want to set up, by following this trend and by following this model, you're going to get that relationship, you're going to get that friendship, you're going to get that connection. And if that's what you truly desire, it's going to happen. But what you do with it after you make that connection, that's on you. I don't control that part. But I can tell you how to get there.
And we're excited for it, and I can't wait to read your book. And then, since we met, it's been like a journey for us,
Yeah.
working with you and helping us through. And so I am excited to read the book and excited to see how you're flourishing, how Further Silhouette is coming into fruition and helping others like us also. And thank you for sharing all the wisdom.
And we will be looking for the book. Let us know when
it's coming out.
To come
I will
out.
send you the manuscript so you can check it and like look at it and everything. You gotta give me a couple of weeks or months. Let's we're spending like our 15 minutes right now.
Well, Titiana, we love everything you're doing, and this is a long-lasting friendship. Of course, we're out in San Francisco. We spent a wonderful time yesterday, and learning so much about you and seeing like how aligned we are with everything that we're doing, and being on here and just sharing your voice and your passion with others. And so, thank you for coming. Thank you for, I hope everyone can get something from this and it can help someone else.
Yeah, like we all have to help each other, one way or another. And I'm so glad that we are all connected. I'm so glad that God ordained this, because, this is life. This is love. This is everything that I could ever wish for. And so, I wasn't born, or I wasn't raised with sisters, but I truly feel like God has given me two sisters that just love little old me.
Listen, I got makeup on. We're not going to cry today.
We're not gonna do it.
All right, so we're gonna end with a wild card question. Okay, yep. So pick a number from 1 to 10.
3.
Is it
3?
Okay. Share a fact about you.
Okay. Just a fact? Oh gosh.
Something interesting.
Okay. Well, this is really wild. Okay. A fact about me. Okay. Boom. So I really love pink, right? Pink is all in my life. Like at some point I'm wearing something pink regardless. And so what I notice in my life is that like everything that I have, like, as I go through life, like everything is pink in some way. Like my computer's pink, like my phone is slightly kind of pink. And so I had a relationship with someone and they're like, pink is a baby color. And I was like, first of all, you're a baby. Okay, because like nobody likes that. Like nobody likes that energy. But I had to recognize like, it's okay to like pink. And like I'm a girl's girl, I'll get dirty and everything, but I love my frilly dresses and my pinks and my everythings. But yeah, everything that I have, mostly that means something, is pink or a variant of it. And if I can't get pink, I get as close to pink as I can.
Wait, hold on. Your mic is not pink though.
No, my mic isn't pink. I couldn't find a pink one. This is as close to pink as I could get, Claudia.
The crystal that we got for you is pink, the rose.
It is pink. I was so excited to get that because I love rose quartz. Awesome. But yeah, mostly everything that I have is pink or a variant of it. Yeah. And if it can't get pink, I get as close to it as possible. So this was as close to pink as I can get. And it has like little pink like crystals in it, like a little like glitters. So
yeah.
But yeah, I am pink. Pink is me.
Well, thank you so much. Well, thank you so much for coming. And
I love it. I appreciate you.
And also to our listeners, thank you for listening and supporting us, because it is like our year. We celebrate our year of being, a podcaster. We were bringing you at this and in season 2.
And look, a year, and we are in San Francisco, our second season.
Yeah.
Blessing.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. We did it. Full circle, 365.
Here's
year 2. and I'll be at the next anniversary and the next one.
Yes. All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening. And if you have any question, if anything resonate with you, please send us a message at Millennial Babes podcast@gmail.com. If you want to be a guest, suggest us with some topic, and just leave us a comment. Let us know how we're doing and anything you want to touch on and be a guest. So we can't wait to connect with you again and talk to you soon.
Yes, and don't forget, check out our YouTube channel, Millennial Babies Podcast. Subscribe and leave a review. Bye.
Bye.